Absolutely so excited about this garden season. I've just been out here every day. You know what? And I realized that I have changed from gardening to being a gardener. Like, it's definitely a difference. Like, the mindset is just so different. I'm just so excited about this growing season. Hey, you guys, what is up? I'm Taquisha, and this is Our Freedom Song, and garden season is in full session. Anybody else just racing to get the things in the soil? I just want to give you a look so that you can see where it is that we are starting from. So as the garden grows, be able to understand the process of how we got to where we're going to be based off of what we are implementing right now. So much has changed from last year. Learned so much from just trial and error. There are some things that I am doing different that I know will help you as well as you are thinking through your garden. So maybe you could stick it in your pocket, or maybe you already know because you've already experienced these things. You are an experienced gardener, and you can also share down in the comments some of the things that you've learned over time that will help somebody else, because you know we be up in the comments scrolling, learning stuff. Definitely come along on this journey with me and let me show you what we have going on.
So first up are these do-it-yourself Ollas. And what you do is you take these terracotta pots and you plug up the hole at the bottom. When you put water in them, the water slowly leaks or has condensation on the outside. And so it is a water source for the surrounding plants. I purchased the felt pads that I use from the Dollar Tree, and they fit perfectly for these. I push the felt pad right into the hole at the bottom and then use hot glue to seal it. The saucer that the pot typically sits on makes the perfect lid. It gets extremely hot here, and although we do water in the morning and again in the evening, having this extra water source available throughout the day for the plants, I think it's going to make a huge difference. Last year we dealt with blossom end rot, which can come from a lack of calcium, and it can also come from inconsistent watering. And so we are hoping to cover all of our bases because we did amend the soil with calcium, and so by adding these extra steps for making sure there is plenty of available water, we are hoping that this year we will not deal with blossom end rot.
What we're gonna do now, just take a little bit of this with our hands. Try not to get it in the pot.
So we are adding our olea under each one of our obelisk trellises. Around the base of this trellis, we planted asparagus long beans and just cannot wait to see them grow. Another thing that I've done different this year that I didn't know was as important last year is flowers. I did not realize how important they were to have inside of the actual garden. So we planted so many flowers, as well as let things go to seed so that we could begin collecting our very own seeds. This year we also had our first successful attempt at starting healthy seeds. They had plenty of sun in the hoop house, so none of them were leggy. We did though plant over 20 varieties of tomatoes, and they all died because I couldn't get the hang of the lights, y'all. I'm hoping to be more successful with the lights next go around, and I see a greenhouse in the very near future for us, and so everything having its own spot is going to be absolutely amazing. So definitely stay tuned to see what we come up with and what we are able to find and use to build a greenhouse that has the ability to be heated as well as vented. Y'all, I'm so excited. These beauties are called California Wonder bell peppers. We are really hoping for a good harvest of bell peppers this year. Okay, so on top of adding flowers to the garden for all the benefits, I also was very strategic about placement of things, making sure that things that had a lot of height, could cover and shade things, because it is so hot here that desperately need shade, such as tomatoes and our peppers. And so I really wanted to be mindful about bush varieties as well as our vining varieties such as pole beans. This year we are also following the square foot gardening method. So that's why you see sort of the grid there. I just drew in the actual soil 12 by 12 square so that I would know where to place each of my plants. If you are watching this and you are new, like I was not too long ago, and I had no idea about anything and people would say stuff and keep it moving, be free to ask any questions that you have. As far as the square foot planning method, it is where you have the 12 by 12 squares, and depending on what you're planting, depends on how many can go in each square. For example, one tomato could go in a 12 by 12, or 2 cucumbers could go in a 12 by 12 square. So you just look up square foot gardening and then input the thing you want to sow, and it will guide you on how many can be inside of that square. I squeeze marigolds right in on the line, which is probably technically not square foot gardening, but I squeeze marigolds in there as well as some onions. I just bought some onions from the store, y'all, just regular onions, and green onions, and I cut the stems off. Right, and I just went through the garden and sowed them in all types of different places because I saw that green onions deterred pests. And so I'm like, what a cheap solution. I got a whole bundle for 46 cents, and because I'm really just using them as a pest deterrent, I just was so happy to just pop those in. So we were sowing probably nonstop for about a week to plant out the whole entire garden and to prepare all of what you're going to see in this video. Since this video, we've had so many days of rain. It is absolutely amazing what rainwater does for these plants. They are thriving. Last season, I did a tour every month, and I'm going to do the same this year. I cannot wait to watch these things grow. I'm so happy that it is finally time to get these tomatoes planted right underneath their trellises. We did not have tomatoes planted here last year. In the spots that it was planted last year, it did not go very well. And so I'm hoping that this is going to give them so much more airflow and they are going to be very happy here. So as you can see, this area is so filled with sandy, thick dirt. And I want the tomatoes to do well. So what we did was we dug out a big hole. Now I'm talking about real big and real deep, since I've learned that tomatoes like to be planted very deep. I went ahead and dug a nice size hole, and then I'm going to fill this whole entire hole with soil, with nice rich soil that can feed the plants. So hopefully all is well with these. I did not put anything down in the inside of these holes other than soil. And what we've done this year differently is I've tried different methods throughout our gardening space. So for here, I put the soil down in, and then we amended the top of the soil everywhere in the garden with calcium. In the front of the house where I planted tomatoes, I actually did try the eggshell method. I crushed up eggshells and put it down underneath the tomato. So we will see if it makes a difference. I don't know. The great thing about gardening is that you can try all of these different things and see what works for your garden. So many of you ask, so girl, where you putting those watermelons? Where are those watermelons gonna go? So we are carving out a new spot to see if melon in general will like it here. And so I low-key extended the garden. So somebody commented and said that cantaloupe really like sandy soil. And so I'm hoping that the cantaloupe will be happy here because this is pretty sandy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just till up the ground, and then I'm going to dig up some holes just like I did with the tomatoes, and I'm going to put the soil just in that space, because if you are trying to cut back on how much soil you are using, I do think that that is a good method to go with, because to fill this whole area with new soil would cost 4 times as much as it would if I just dug a hole and put it in that spot, you know. And so maybe over time building up the soil is an option, but if you are just trying to get things in the ground like how I was trying to do, this I think is a great option. So we will see how the melons like it over here. I'm hoping they do really well, but we won't know until we do it. So I've cleared out this spot and I'm doing some measurements to see how far to space them. The row on the left are going to be the yellow baby doll watermelons, and then the row on the right are going to be the cantaloupe. This is the area that we get our chip drop, so it's perfect. The wood chips are already here, so I'm just making a path in between the two rows and just putting some in between each of the plants. It is not necessary. For me, it's just more aesthetically pleasing to see rows, as well as it helps me actually see the plant so that I don't accidentally step on them. So this was an extra step. So because we have had temperatures in the 70s, high 70s and 80s consistently, we know that it is definitely time to roll back this plastic. So we just decided to unroll it and wipe it down so that we can then roll it up so that everything in the hoop house can breathe, including us. I have been so excited about the idea of planting on our hoop house trellises since the moment we created this hoop house. It's just such a great idea, and I cannot wait to see it filled with all of the things.
So this is what we just accomplished. Rolled back the plastic. So we wiped down the plastic, tried to get a good bit of the pollen and all the dirt off of there before rolling it up. And we just hinged it up with a piece of bamboo, the large piece of bamboo that we have. And then we filled the beds with some fresh soil all the way to the top to prepare it to plant in.
Inside the hoop house, we are going to do a nice spring cleaning. It just feels so nice to get everything organized in here and ready for a new season.
Okay, so next we are going to be working on this bed right here. I call it the blue bed. We are going to be planting sweet potatoes in this bed. So we're going to go ahead and clear it out. We have our sweet potato slips right here ready to go. Look at this teeny little carrot that was growing in there.
Oh, I found a small mushroom.
Garden snack.
You're like clean and shiny.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's crunchy.
That's really good.
Fresh from the garden. It's the real meaning of a baby carrot. This view is absolutely gorgeous and it makes my heart so happy. It amazes me that even as the sun is going down, the birds are still singing so beautifully. Goodness, how exciting is that? Where are you in your gardening? Have you planted all the things? Are you at a place right now where you're just sitting back and watching things grow? We appreciate each and every one of you. And I do hope that you saw something today that is going to encourage you to look around and see what it is that you have that you can use to create a space that you will absolutely love.